Welcome to episode 30 of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. My name is William Fizzpatrick, and we thank you so much for tuning in for these episodes. You're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, isn't this just the 23rd episode of this revival series? Well, remember, the older episodes go from 1 to 7, and I am not somebody who's like those comic book industry companies. I don't renumber my stuff. So this is basically going on from episode 8, The Wacky is Back, to now episode 30, where miracles do happen, folks. I'm joined here, as always, with my co-host, Sal Cusmano.
Hey, guys. And a miracle might have happened to Fizzy, but no miracles were happening for me.
Well, Kings of Pro Wrestling apparently was a very good show, but we'll get to that later. And we also thank you so much, folks, for waiting on these episodes. We had to take a little bit of a 2-day delay because I was dealing with a sinus issue and Sal was fatigued.
Yep. It's going to be that time of year when the Christmas stuff comes in, the work schedule gets harder, and all that fun stuff.
Yep. But we've got 2 shows and some WWE-related news to cover for this week's edition of the show. First up is Hell in a Cell, a show that last week we kind of beat to death with hammers, to be quite frank.
Yes.
And this show had, let me think here, what was it, 7, 8 matches on the show?
I think it was 8 if we count the pre-show.
And I did watch bits and pieces of the pre-show. It was a solid, it was the tag match between Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus the Hype Bros. And it was a solid match.
I didn't see it. I was honestly debating if I was even going to watch that show live or if I was going to wait until Monday to watch it. But in the end, I decided to watch some of it live. I was potentially planning on watching all of it live, but then it just got so boring that I said, screw it, I'm out, and I watched the rest of it on Monday.
I watched this show in 2 parts. I watched the first half of the show earlier in the week, and then today I finished up the latter half of the week on a rewatch. I watched the last 3 matches, Mahal Nakamura, Rude Ziggler, and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. I also watched this show with the Japanese commentary team once again, because if I have to listen to the English commentary team again, even though this is a pairing that I actually like, Tom Phillips, Brian Saxton, and what was it, Corey Graves?
Yep.
I decided that I was going to instead go with the Japanese team once again, because the shows have been so enjoyable because I get to hear the crowd reaction, the noise, and of course people talking in the ring.
Yep, that's always a plus.
So to start off with, we have a street fight in the cell in our main part of the show, which was the Usos versus the New Day. Sal, what are your thoughts on this one?
This was the best match on the card by far. The Usos and the New Day are both crazy, and we'll get to it later, but just to prove I'm not totally a New Japan homer at this point, I will go to war with anyone who says this match didn't stack up pound for pound against any of the best stuff on the New Japan card. So there you go. This was a hell of a match. I mean, you had the Usos and the New Day just pretty much being the ever-loving crap out of each other. I mean, the New Day came out. They brought trombones and gongs to the under the ring and started beating each other with against the Usos. The Usos came back and freaking handcuffed Xavier and Big E at points and kendo stick the crap out of them. It was just a great, violent match that I absolutely loved, and the Usos got the win and won the tag belts.
Important notes about this match, folks. This is the last match between these 2 teams for a while, as there was a stipulation put into this Hell in a Cell match that this would be the final encounter between the Usos and the New Day, at least for now. Whoever wins the championship belts would be ending up as champions, and new challengers would be crowned later during a random SmackDown this past week, which ended up being Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin being the first challengers for the belts against the Usos and their penitentiary.
Yes, and then on SmackDown, we also had the Oos Truce, which I saw the clips of that. Don't watch SmackDown anymore, and I'm so much better for it. But I did see that clip, and I also saw the clip where Rowan and Harper came back as the freaking Bludgeon Brothers. Oh, my God. See, I said I wanted them back. If this is what they were going to give them, I wanted them gone.
Oh, I love the Bludgeon Brothers gimmick. I like this whole, I like the whole, you know, smashing things up with sledgehammers. Besides, it's going to make Triple H angry as heck that they're going to be doing his gimmick.
It seems more like halfway between Bray Wyatt and War Machine.
I'm thinking more along the lines of sort of a cross between the Godwins and Demolition.
Oh, God. We didn't need either of those.
I love that hillbilly tag team as well as Demolition. I like that tag team. Not as there's a lot of 80s tag teams that I am neutral about, but Demolition is one of the few I actually like.
Demolition was okay. It's more the Godwins that I'm dreading.
Mm-hmm.
That is what it is. I guess they're using them at least, but I swear to God, that promo, you could so tell Harper was so. It's like, there is no. What is it? What did he say? Oh, yeah, there is no conscience. Like, you could so tell he was reading off a script. It was so bad. I felt so bad for the guy because it's like, how in the hell am I going to make this sound interesting?
I'll just smack things like a hammer to a pumpkin, though. That will make it all better.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it just looked way too hokey for my taste.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, hokey is good for me because I like hokey. It's something that makes professional wrestling interesting to me. If everything was just the same generic thing, I'd be going, what are you doing here? Why are you doing this? And we'll get to that later in the show. But the Usos versus the New Day. Love this match. This match was one of the top 3 matches on this show for me because I felt that this was a total war. You have the Usos wanting to prove that they are the best team on SmackDown. You have the New Day wanting to keep their crowns, their belts, their shiny things. And they had Xavier Woods and Big E, the babyface team, facing off against the Usos, who came to the ring wearing red. They kind of had prison garments on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Basically showcasing that they are in the Usos penitentiary. And the New Day brought out their assorted weapons. You forgot to mention the unicorn kendo stick.
Oh, yes. I didn't forget about those. I just declined to mention that.
It added a nice bit of uniqueness to the match.
Of course. I mean, I was talking with friend of the show, Curtain Jerker, and he said, or was it Chris? One of the two. And they said they liked this match and how the New Day brought out trombones and the gong and the stick, and how to them it felt like if the New Day had to get hardcore, this is how they would do it with their own little goofy twist. And you know what? Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, they didn't dump a ginormous box of cereal, the Usos. That would have made it perfect. But then again, you would have like a 25-minute ring cleanup if you did that.
Yeah.
Continue.
I could have gone to match. That sort of made me regret it. But then I saw most of the rest of the matches, and I'm just like, oh my God, thank Christ I didn't go.
Yeah, the match could have been a little longer, but like I feel like the length of the match was fine for what it was, and I felt like this was the perfect way to end this feud for now, at least, because we know that these two teams will be, either allies or enemies and fighting somewhere down the line and within the next year and a half, 2 years or so, and this was a perfect way to wrap up their feud. And honestly, this was a really great use of the cell. The spots were good to uncomfortable at points, but that was what made the cell Hell in a Cell, which is, it made use of the cell in the best way it possibly could, given the circumstances of today's TV programming.
Yep. I agree with that. This was an actual Hell in a Cell match. This felt like, like the cell was actually a part of it. It got violent. I mean, they did things to each other with the cell. It felt more like it was a part of the match than rather as just there.
And they got the win in the best way possible. They destroyed Big E after he went into rage mode and decided to squash the Usos against the side of the cell.
Yep.
And they did it by pinning Xavier.
Yep. And Xavier actually had some really good defiant last stand, which I also really like. Let's give some credits to Xavier here too,
Yes, he was the guy that brought the babyface fire into this match. He was the true babyface of the entirety of this match, where Big E was the muscle who just destroys everything. And this was one of Big E's best performances in a long time.
Yep. This was just a great match all around. And Kofi on the outside too, selling how much like the pain and the destruction of it. I mean,
yeah,
credit to all 5 guys. They completely killed in all of their roles. I mean, 2 of the best tag teams in WWE, well, probably the best 2 tag teams in WWE today, probably the best 2 tag teams in the world, and I will fight anyone who disagrees with me. And I don't even want to hear anyone mention the Young Bucks. Get the fuck out.
my God. Oh God. I might need to get some calls out, Sal, because you might be getting super kicked pretty soon by those angry ankle biters.
Oh, I don't care. Just send them another cease and desist letter. They'll shut them up.
So yes, folks. It's well known that I am not exactly a big fan of the Young Bucks, and I don't particularly care for that tag team and their gimmick grave robbing. But regardless, New Day Usos, really good match, really good way to start off the show. So next up was, what was it?
It was Randy Orton against Rusev, which goes to show how forgettable this match was.
Actually, it was a pretty solid match. It was like this. The weird thing about Hell in a Cell, this show overall, it had solid match after solid match. I was shocked by it. I was like, okay, this is weird. These are actually good, solid wrestling matches. The great thing about this match was that it didn't end in 5 seconds.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible match. I mean, it had the unfortunate thing of having to go on after Usos New Day. I mean, anything in that situation would be boring and forgettable. And, credit to them, the finish I actually do remember, despite not having seen this match since, Monday? So, or Sunday or Monday, which was Rusev went for like an accolade out of nowhere. Randy got out of it, went for the RKO out of nowhere, and got the win.
Yeah. And this match had a very good structure, very good pacing to it. The two performers knew what they were doing. They had planned all of this out, and everything about this match worked like a clock. The problem is that Randy went over, and Rusev is still in purgatory at this point. But we'll take what we can get at this point.
It was fine. Like you said, the problem is Randy went over. Rusev is still in purgatory. Randy's still a face. Rusev is still a heel. I hate everything about this. Except for the match itself, which was fine. It wasn't a bad match, being completely fair.
Oh, yes. This was a solid match, an enjoyable match. We'll see where they go from here. They might be doing something with Rusev. They might be doing something with Randy Orton eventually. It's all a matter of the stars aligning at this point and changes being made, because they're still trying to shuffle up their face-heel alignment at this point, but Orton and Rusev are a lower priority than the rest at this time. Next up was the United States Championship match, right?
Yep. Oh, God, this match.
Oh, lovely, this match. Now, folks, we are going to have two very different opinions about this particular match because, again, remember, as I said last week, Baron Corbin still has a ton of brownie points with me for beating the ever-loving bejesus out of Austin Aries. And I was also completely fine with him winning in this particular match for the United States Championship because, number one, it frees up the phenomenal hobo to not take bumps like a sack of potatoes. Seriously, he did the entirety of this match like it was like he's bouncing from one side of the ring, he's bouncing from the other side of the ring.
He sold his ass off to try and make Corbin look good. Ty look good. He did his like that's why I hate this match, because AJ made it somewhat good and they still had him lose the belt. Ty was better than Corbin in this and they had him get pinned. Why in the hell are they putting the U.S. title on Baron Corbin? What do they see in him? He is bad. The only thing he has going for him is he's like 6'6". He's not even ripped. He's a skinny, fat loser.
And I have to add another person to the list of people that might try and end my co-host, unfortunately. So
I don't care. He sucks. He's a mark for himself loser who cannot wrestle. Oh my God, he'll just insult another vet and give a half-assed apology.
Anyway,
I am taking shots on everyone today.
Yep. So anyway, we need to mention the third person who was added into this match, which Sal mentioned earlier. Ty Dillinger was added to the match, ladies and gentlemen. This match became a triple threat match, and it was actually one of the better triple threat matches of the year, which is shocking given the participants involved. A 40-year-old AJ Styles, Baron Von Corbin, Super Genius, and Ty Dillinger.
Yeah, and Ty Dillinger, he didn't look terrible in this match, and you know how much I really don't care for him. I will be completely fair to him and say, you know what, Ty? You were very serviceable in this match. You were perfectly fine here. AJ, you did your work like a champ and show why you're probably the best wrestler in the North American promotion today. Corbin, I have no praise for you. Get the hell out of my ring.
Well, I felt as though that the match structure was extremely well done. All three participants knew what they were doing in the situations, and they played to their strengths and weaknesses perfectly. I felt that AJ Styles bumping like a maniac was perfect in the situation. Ty Dillinger became a counter wrestler for this match, showcasing a level of technical skill and finesse that we have not seen out of this guy thus far when he's in singles matches and lost in the crowd. In addition, he could actually play the babyface role, which he was well suited to. Every single time that somebody got in the ring with Ty Dillinger, Ty was trying to roll them up.
Mm-hmm.
And the tactics and strategy on hand by Baron Corbin was actually shockingly decent. In the early portion of the match, AJ and Ty decided to beat the living bejesus out of Corbin to take him out of the match. Corbin came back into the match and started decimating both Styles and Dillinger. But then he realized that Dillinger was the weak link of the two. So after Styles and Dillinger went at it, then after AJ attempted to pin Ty, Baron pushed him out of the ring and proceeded to steal the pinfall victory.
Yep. Which I'll give WWE credit for this. At least they didn't have AJ eat the pin on the pay-per-view. They had me to clean pin on SmackDown, which still makes no fucking sense to me, but whatever.
They needed to remove AJ from the contention of the U.S. Championship so they can move on to the World Championship.
Well, I get that. Just have Corbin get himself disqualified or something. I mean, he'd still keep the belt. I mean, and just... I don't get why they're having Baron Corbin pin AJ Styles and why they're having Jinder Mahal cleanly pin Shinsuke Nakamura again. Why?
Because this company has a plan for the fall-winter season, and they're going through with that plan regardless of how much we scream at them.
They're going through with a stupid plan. I mean, okay, let me put it like this. I have a buddy in my econ class who I've been talking to lately. He actually works in media and stuff. That's like his major. We've been talking a lot about wrestling. He's more of a casual fan, and even he's wondering what the hell, how is Shinsuke going to recover from this? He thinks, seriously, I don't get this show. Casual fans know how bad this is. SmackDown attendance is under like 5,000 people. They're running like 15,000 seat arenas and can barely get 5,000. What are they doing?
They have either packed it in or they're having a shuffle in the creative writing teams once again, which is causing a lot of problems and issues in the structure. Because
either way, it's utter bullcrap, and it shouldn't be this bad. This Jinder experiment has failed. We might as well talk about Jinder now.
Sure, Jinder versus Mahal versus Nakamura.
Didn't watch this match out of sheer principle, but I will rant on all of the implications because I know what happened. I heard what happened. I saw the clip of what happened. Jinder Mahal pinned Shinsuke clean. The one thing they couldn't do, they had the racist go over in the end. Way to repeat Mania 19, guys. Way to do it all over again. I know I shouldn't expect much from this company considering it's run by a 72-year-old idiot who has been known for doing far, well, not worse things, just as bad things. I mean, he's done numerous racist angles in the past. I shouldn't expect anything different, but damn it, I guess I expected them to wise up just this once. I expected them to wise up and realize, you know what? We can't really afford to do this. India will never work out for them for the numerous reasons we've mentioned before. They get the pay-per-views for free, so why in the hell would they buy the network? They're trying to market to all of India by pushing a guy as one specific region that doesn't even really actually exist. Punjabi isn't really a thing. Well, it technically is. It's a region of India, but like Punjabi isn't really a language, as Shaker's Minion pointed out last week. This whole thing is just filled with so many issues and so many so much faulty logic. I just can't stand it.
And that's completely understandable.
This is why I will no longer watch SmackDown, in spite of all of the other good things on this show, like the tag division and like the Sami Owens stuff. I just can't anymore. I can't go through this. From all accounts, and Dave Meltzer put it best when he said this match for the title felt like just another match. There was no importance to this. This title means nothing anymore. How could it? How could this show mean anything when Baron Corbin, Jinder Mahal, and Natalya are your three singles champions? How could anyone get behind this show?
In all honesty, I might actually start getting behind this show at this point because it seems pretty clear that they're shuffling the deck at this point and continuing on in a direction that will lead to all three of these individuals eventually losing their championship belts. I don't take it.
They better lose them soon.
Sure.
I can't do it anymore. This gender run has gone on for 5 months now. I tried to give it a chance too. I really did try.
Mhm.
I tried for like 2 months, and once it got around to 3, I'm like, you know what? We should probably start ending this now.
Mhm.
4 happened, still not down. We're on 5 now. Hell, it's probably going to last until at least mid-December, right after the India tour.
Mhm.
Wouldn't be surprised if it lasted all the way to the Rumble. That's what, 3 more months now? So that would be an 8-month title reign at the very least.
Or it'll end at 9 weeks. That's when Night of Champions happens, and they usually do this title switches at Night of Champions sometimes. So at this point, I can't really be angry anymore about the gender situation. I wasn't really angry to start off with, apart from the fact that I know it's not his fault that he has to say lines that he knows clearly, and you could see it on his face, like, oh dear God. He's stuck in a really bad position right now. He is the WWE champion, but he's got very, very little support right now. In addition, Mahal is working for a shoulder injury, which was very apparent in this match. As he was walking and fighting in the ring, he was constantly looking over at his shoulder, hoping, please don't pop out, because he's fighting Nakamura, and Nakamura is strong style. This was the best match that these two have had thus far. Taking away all the pre-match stuff and all of the promos and all the other stuff that's happened in this particular feud, this was a solid style match that I thought was decent. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was at least decent to good. This was one of the better Nakamura matches that I've seen this year. He actually put some effort into this one. Mahal bumped like crazy. It was basically the Canadian Indian version of AJ Styles as he was bumping across the ring. His tall, lanky frame serves as a bit of a disadvantage in wrestling matches, though. He has the Alicia Fox problem where he's almost tripping over himself multiple times. Honestly, I had low expectations for this match, and it actually delivered higher than I expected. What's next for Jinder Mahal? Well, if the rumor mill is correct on this assumption, he is going to be murder-defthed and turned into curry paste by Brock Lesnar. A fitting end to our glorious champion.
A fitting end indeed. If only that was for the belt. Hell, just give Brock the belt and be done with it. I don't care. Just unify the titles back together, give them both to Roman at Mania, and let's be done with this shit. Anything to get it off of Jinder. Anything.
Remember what we talked about Faustian bargains a few weeks ago, Sal? Please don't sign any contract papers that have an old cryptic old man or a guy with a shovel.
Oh, well, now you tell me. I sold my soul like 3 weeks ago.
So apparently, this match, even though Sal didn't see it, made him go insane.
Yes, I didn't need to see it. I just needed to see the result. The result itself is enough to drive me mad. This match could have been a 5-star classic, and I still would have been burying it because of everything it represents. It represents an utter failure on all fronts from WWE. My question isn't where Jinder is going from this. My question is, where the hell is Shinsuke going from this? What the hell do you do with this poor guy now?
He's still got a chance. He's still over, but he's going to be
dead. He is dead, man. What they're probably going to do is have him feud with Baron Corbin. Okay. Watch them have Baron go over him. And this is a company that will likely be looking to New Japan to get some more talent soon, because New Japan has a lot of people who are over. Why the fuck would anyone from New Japan go over to them after this? After they see how they treated Shinsuke Nakamura, who was one of their biggest stars.
Nakamura was a big star, but he was a second fiddle guy to Okada, Tanahashi, and Shibata.
But keep in mind, WWE has always sent out those fan polls asking who'd you want to go after, and they always include Okada. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd be looking to get Okada. Shinsuke was Okada's mentor. Okada is probably never going to go to WWE, even though he's the best wrestler on planet Earth today. Why the fuck would he go to WWE when he screwed over his mentor like this? Someone he was actually pretty broken up about leaving when Shinsuke left. People forget this. Okada was actually pretty beat up about that. I mean, they don't think. And hell, I don't want Okada to go to WWE after seeing what they did to Shinsuke. Why the hell would I? I'd rather have him remain in New Japan for his entire career and be the king over there where he's freaking amazing. Putting on at least 4-star matches almost every night. He wrestles. Why in the hell would I want him to go here?
I would like it if Okada went to WWE personally, because
wouldn't.
I know, but we have to think of this from the Japanese perspective. Nakamura is taking considerably less heavy bumps than he would be in New Japan right now. He's actually really enjoying his time over at WWE. They don't necessarily care about belts as much as, say, American performers. They want to do a good job in the ring. They want to do a good, stylish job in the ring, and Nakamura accomplished that in this match. In all honesty, Okada might be looking to try and get out of those 45 minutes to an hour-long epics that he has to do, where he has to take considerable amount of bumps and has to deal with the constant chaotic booking of Edo and Gendo. In all honesty, Okada is familiar with the American market, and he knows the pitfalls of it. I know WWE has had 2 issues right now with their Japanese prospects, but given the fact that they signed 2 over-the-hill individuals in Hideo Itami and Shinsuke Nakamura, this is as good as I thought that they could possibly get with their 2 prospects. I was not high on Nakamura when they signed him, and he's proven to be a decent fit, but not the fit that everybody thought he would be.
Well, it could have been better if the company got behind him, like they're getting behind Jinder. Like, I realized this earlier this week. People accuse Reigns of getting the push to the moon, like with the rocket up his ass. No! Jinder's getting that. Jinder Mahal is getting the push people accuse Roman Reigns of getting. This is so ass backwards.
Sure, but at the same time, guess who wasn't on TV last week? Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, I would never have him on TV. I would never even put my belt on him. He would be a lower card jobber because that's what suits his talent level. He is not a good wrestler. He cannot cut a promo. He is terrible, and it's bringing the show down. He is this pall. He casts a pall over all this show. I'm just sick of it. I can't watch it anymore. I swear to God, my blood pressure is going through the roof just yelling about this. I'm going to give myself a freaking heart attack. I'm just done with him. I'm done with WWE's insistent pushing of him. I'm done with WWE wasting Shinsuke, who a lot of people thought could be a big star and still could be a big star if WWE would do would give like half-an-assed effort to get behind him. Because Shinsuke is very talented. He actually does fit pretty well, I think. He could. Just have him go out there and wrestle with AJ. Have him go out there and, I don't know, wrestle with Rusev.
And I think that's exactly what they're planning on doing with Nakamura, is having him feud with AJ and Rusev and your dread Baron Corbin. And possibly Sami Zayn now that his alignments change.
All of those could be very good matches. Hell, that match against Zayn, his first match in WWE, well, NXT against Zayn, that was a 4.5-star match, and a hell of a match it was. That all these could be better. This is just WWE is choosing the wrong people to put their focus on.
Sure.
That
and
is
we
my
can
big
focus on Natalya next, which, seeing as we're talking about the 3 current belt holders, we might as well talk about Charlotte and Natalya. What were your thoughts on this match?
I thought it was boring, really. I thought that's pretty much my review for most of these matches. Boring. It was boring. It just wasn't exciting. It had a DQ finish. Charlotte got the win, but it was a DQ, so whoop-de-doo. Natalya's still your champ. 3 heels hold all the top belts, and they're all 3 very talentless heels. Natalya is like the 4th best women's wrestler at best on this roster behind Naomi, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. Why in the hell is Natalya your champion? I know I keep coming back to this question. Why are they pushing who they're pushing? Why are they putting their titles, the most important things? Like, that's the title pretty much says you're top dog in your division.
Mhm.
Why are you? Why? I just don't get it. Why do they continue to push these people?
Mhm. Because the title has changed considerably from what it was about 25 years ago. The title is still is it's a prop that is used to try and propel stars. See, when it comes to title belts and the people that wear them, I typically tend to lose interest in the individuals as long as they have the title around their waist. I view titles as either something that is incredibly cursed or something that is not needed to propel the character forward. I prefer looking at it from a storytelling perspective. I prefer looking at the characters when they don't have the belt, when they don't have the shiny thing, because the shiny thing has a tendency to become like the ring, the one true ring from the Lord of the Rings, a possessive material item that limits your storytelling ability to only about 15 to about 50 different stories, depending on the talent of the writers and the team involved. Unfortunately, we have a spent writing team in Ryan Ward and Road Dogg. Road Dogg focuses primarily on tag team wrestling, which, guess what? That's the current focus right now, is on the tag team division, given that we're in the fall-winter NFL season, and hardly anybody is watching. The singles divisions, those divisions are now struggling because of the fact that Ward has simply run out of material, and they just happened to catapult Jimmy Jacobs, the guy that I think they were planning on replacing Ryan Ward with, over on SmackDown so they can move him over to Raw. So, yeah, it's kind of not a PG situation out there on the writing team side of things. As far as the match is concerned, I thought this was an enjoyable, leg-based, work-based offense match that had a story about it. Charlotte trying to keep out of Natalia's finisher, which was the sharpshooter, and Natalia trying desperately to retain her championship belt by going with the DQ finish by smacking Charlotte in the leg with a chair. Charlotte's babyface run is shockingly going over pretty decently. I know that it's going to take some time for people to get used to the fact that Charlotte Flair is a babyface, but I've been really behind this run since she turned when she came over to SmackDown. I know that people want Charlotte to be a heel. I feel at this point, let's establish her as a babyface and get her some character development, as well as hope that Becky Lynch starts feeling better than she has been, because Becky has been dealing with some lingering injuries over the past couple of months. That's why they haven't pushed her too heavily, and that's why they've also been keeping her in tag matches with Charlotte. As for Naomi, I have no idea what they're doing right now, but we'll see where they go from here.
They have lost all benefit of the doubt with me. I can't continue to give that to them anymore. That's the thing, though. There was no need to transfer the belt to Natalia. There was no need for that. Naomi was doing good as SmackDown Women's Champion. They were telling good stories with her. She was this, fighter for what's right, fiery babyface champion. Sure, it's not revolutionizing any storytelling, but it was a solid story everyone can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's my issue. They change things for no good reason, or they do things for no good reason without thinking. I want them to think, but they never think.
Well, they also think, but they don't think the way that they want you to think. And Brian Ward is a guy that's primarily a soap opera writer. He's a guy that's interested in telling overly dramatic, wrought storytelling. Like, if you see his run in NXT, you will find the purple pussy of his writing style. And that is lingering in the SmackDown Women's division right now, where you have this situation where you have the Gold Rush run for Natalia. Natalia will probably be leaving within the next year and a half, 2 years, which is why I'm not terribly worried about her having the belt right now. As far as the others go, let's see where things go from here, because they seem to be developing a story with Carmella and James Ellsworth. They seem to be doing something with Charlotte. It's just the other pieces that need to fill in, and also something needs to shuffle in the writings room so that there's a third writer that takes care of the women's division.
I think a lot more needs to change, but that would definitely be a start.
We have to go in a situation like this. We have to do what is doable at this point. Unless we run a truck over Vince McMahon, which I don't recommend anybody do at this point, because the truck probably won't do anything to the guy, seeing that he's Satan after all. But we can start suggesting ideas in the lower rung divisions, the ones that the IFSR isn't focusing on at this moment. And there are some pretty solid matches remaining on this show that we can talk about. So after Natalya Charlotte and Mahal Nakamura, there was Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler.
Yes. My review for this match is pretty much the same review I had for Shinsuke Ziggler. Why was this match this long? Why didn't Bobby Roode just instantly murder, death kill Dolph Ziggler? You can go find my review on when I talked about Ziggler, Shinsuke, and replace all of Shinsuke's stuff with Bobby Roode stuff, and there's your review of this match.
Mm-hmm. I'm honestly happy that they actually went with a long match with Ziggler in this case, because they needed to establish Bobby Roode as an actual wrestler more than just an entrance. Because the story that they've been telling thus far is that Bobby Roode is simply a guy that has an entrance. And this match was actually fairly captivating and surprisingly well wrestled by both individuals. This was one of Bobby Roode's top 5 best matches that he's had so far in both NXT and WWE combined. Dolph Ziggy did Ziggy things, but it wasn't as annoying as usual. There was actually a bit of a focus this time around. Of course, it helps that both of them wrestle very similar ring styles, so Ziggy didn't have to adjust too terribly to Bobby Roode's ring style. It was like watching an early 90s WCW pay-per-view match. And I honestly enjoyed that. You had Bobby Roode impersonating Art Anderson, and you had Dolph Ziggler attempting to impersonate a combination of Shawn Michaels and Brian Pillman. Yes, I know they're better wrestlers that they're impersonating, but at the same time, it worked for the story, and the finish was creative, where Bobby Roode pulled the tights of Ziggy and got the free count, which immediately led to Ziggy hitting the zigzag on him, which means that this feud will be continuing. And honestly, in this case, I feel it's not a bad thing. A mid-card feud like this to establish Bobby Roode? Okay, let's see where we go from here.
We saw how well Shinsuke got established after facing Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, no. I'm done. I can't see anything positive about this show anymore, except for the last stuff, just to completely contradict myself. Kevin Owens against Shane McMahon. The only real important thing about this entire 39-minute long match, holy crap, what the hell? Why is any match going 39 minutes? I hate it when New Japan does it, but at least those matches tend to be like 5-star classics, or at least 4 stars, usually higher than 4, but why is this 39 minutes? But the main important thing was Shane jumped off the tall thing. Sami Zayn pulled Kevin Owens out of the way. Sami Zayn turned heel and is now buddies with Kevin Owens again, which is somewhat interesting, but I will not be watching live.
Folks, miracles, as they say, do happen. This show was surprisingly decent. Sami Zayn finally has a character arc, and we've made it to 30 episodes. That's all wonderful, wonderful things as the wind is howling in the background of my house. And this match, this 38-minute long match, 39 in some cases, was an enjoyable spectacle of opera. We have Kevin Owens, who is back to his murderous persona after being the corporate champion and then trying to be the face of America, even though he's Canadian, for a couple months. Then we have Shane McMahon, one of the old guard remaining, one who is trying to defend his turf as SmackDown owner. He now has to face against his disobedient former minion of the McMahon faction known as the Authority, and decides to try and squash him. Also, Vince, you should have let him jump off the roller coaster. It would have gotten it out of his system.
Oh, jeez.
Because Shane McMahon wanted to jump off the bouncy castle of death. The bouncy castle of death in this case is the Hell in a Cell, which this once again felt like a Hell in a Cell match. Where we had Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens brawling outside of the ring to start things off to showcase just how heated this blood feud has become. For you see that Shane McMahon was the special guest referee for Owens Styles back at the last pay-per-view. Shane McMahon screwed over Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens is quite upset. He decided to punch out Vince McMahon, which caused Vince to bleed a gusher like the Yellowstone geyser. And then we had this Hell in a Cell specialty match. Shane wearing red Shane O'Mac colors and emblazing Hell in a Cell on the back of his shirt. And Shane's children watching their dear dad once again trying to jump off high things again.
Yeah, why the hell would anyone bring their kids to watch them almost die? Does Shane get off on it?
Well, Shane is a McMahon after all, and besides the fact that much like running over Vince McMahon with a truck, having Shane crash on top of a cell, on top of what was it, an announce table, it's not really going to do much of anything to them, unfortunately, because they're McMahons.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have a holy water chainsaw in your storage closet, I don't think that there's going to be much impact to these demons.
Yeah.
Or if you have the Doom Marine on speed dial.
Oh, of course I have the Doom Marine on speed dial. Who do you think I am?
This was one of the funnest matches on this show. I know it was a long match, but it didn't feel like a long match. Kevin Owens brought an epic amount of brutality. I haven't seen that brutality side of his since he just tried to annihilate Sami Zayn down in NXT. Shane McMahon also brought some nice fire to him as well. And hey, those work punches actually were decent this time.
Meh. Nah, was not a fan of Shane's punches. Will never be a fan of Shane's punches.
Mm-hmm.
Shane needs to learn from Juice Robinson how to throw a punch.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, WWE needs to hire Juice back as a part-time trainer so he can teach Shane how to punch properly.
Mm-hmm. So this match was one of those enjoyable, fun matches that I really enjoyed the ending of, especially since, ladies and gentlemen, we finally have a character arc storyline for Sami Zayn. I like Sami Zayn the wrestler, but Sami Zayn the character has infuriated me to the point of no end, much like Sal and his issues with gender, except there's less racism involved.
Mm-hmm.
In all honesty, I was infuriated by what they were doing with Sami. This guy is naturally unlikable. Why are you telling us that this guy is likable? You're telling us he's likable? This guy is the last person I would think would be likable on this roster. And yet, he does the morally questionable thing. He sees Kevin Owens sitting on that table, about to be squashed by a refrigerator with wings by Shane McMahon, and he does the sensible thing and decides to pull Kevin Owens away from the table. Shane crashes down to earth with a mighty thud, and Sami then does another morally questionable thing. He puts Kevin Owens on top of Shane for the free count. Kevin Owens wins the match, and Sami Zayn now has a character arc and story, which is a bigger narrative in this situation. If we are hearing things right, we know that Daniel Bryan's contract is going to be up fairly soon by the company. He's working as a general manager right now to try and eat up as many dates as he can. We know that there are parties like CMLL and Ring of Honor are interested in his services. We know that Daniel Bryan is frustrated as being the general manager. We know that this guy wants to wrestle once again, even though it's kind of a crazy thing for him to do at this point, given his health concerns and the fact that Bray just had a kid.
He'll just go to CMLL and wrestle in a Mask vs. Beard match against Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, CMLL, they really don't do that much crazy stuff, except for like the flippy stuff. But if he's wrestling like an Atlantis or a Blue Panther, it'll be all graphs.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be as fine as I would ever be with it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think the bigger narrative story that they're telling, and nobody's really picking up on this yet, is that this may lead to a Daniel Bryan versus Shane McMahon feud to close out everything. And I know that people are going to be mighty upset if Daniel loses this feud, but it also means that Daniel might be leaving soon. And the best way to do that is to have, of course, the classic general manager showdown between the owner and the general manager. It also helps that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are now villains in this situation, or as I see them in this case, faces, going against the opposition of Shane McMahon. Kevin Owens has a character arc once again as well. He's now a guy that is completely shocked and surprised that his friend, Sami Zayn, has turned to help him after all the times they've attempted to murder each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, and Sammy's explanation for why was that Shane blew him off. You know, Kevin was always right, yada, yada, yada. They're all brothers. I mean, it was a pretty good segment, you know, and I'm looking forward to this story, watching the clips on YouTube, because, like I said, I am done with SmackDown. I will not watch again until Jinder loses the belt. I just can't anymore. And it'll free up more time for me to watch the Wings, who have surprisingly been good so far this season off the back of some spectacular goaltending by one Jimmy Howard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, that's good. And
yeah.
overall, what is your final thoughts on this show?
It was mostly boring. The tag match was absolutely incredible. Go watch that. I hate Jinder Mahal with the fiery passions of 10 million suns. Sammy and Kevin have an interesting story going on, and that's about it.
This show shocked me. This show honestly, legitimately surprised me with how decent it was. The wrestling was shockingly good. This stories intertwined with one another and actually were decent. Yes, some of the outcomes weren't what we wanted, but again, we have to do the give and take in this situation. Not everything is going to work out the way that we want it to. And that's something that we have to realize in this situation. We are going into the football season with wrestling right now. They are going to do some crazy things and some insane stuff that we, as viewers and as an audience, may not necessarily approve of. What we have to be, as I've said in the past, is patient. There will be some changes. There will be some new champions. There will be some differences happening. It's going to take a little bit of time, and we're going to wait a little bit longer. We have Survivor Series, we have TLC, and we have Night of Champions coming up. We'll see what happens from those three shows, because who knows with WWE? Their plans change in a millisecond. And that's why I'm not panicking right now with the situation of their champions. Baron Corbin will most likely be feuding with Dillinger. Natalya is going to continue her feud with Charlotte. And, of course, we have Jinder Mahal either going to be turned into curry by Brock Lesnar, or he may be losing the belt at Night of Champions to AJ Styles or Nakamura. Depends on what happens in this situation. I'm honestly, and this is surprising for me, optimistic about what's going on right now in WWE. I know that there's a lot of rumblings and a lot of issues going on right now, but I feel that that is a natural course of things. And it's the natural course of how this year in wrestling has gone. 2017, we haven't even reached the end of the year yet with 2017, and it's turned out to be one of the most chaotic, disorganized years in professional wrestling history on both the independent level and on the national stage.
Yep. And as we'll see with, well, we better get these rumors out of the way. Neville has allegedly said he's done and he's left. He was never seen on Raw this past week when he said it was done, or 205 Live.
Mm-hmm.
And if Neville is gone, good for him. I want to escape this sinking ship too.
Honestly, Neville, this was probably one of the worst mistakes that you possibly have done in this situation. You know that the cruiserweights are heavily relying on individuals to actually step up in these situations and not do anything crazy to attract Sauron's attention. Neville, you decided to walk out on WWE without giving any form of major notice. Yes, Enzo Amore, by the way, is no longer Cruiserweight Champion. Kalisto now is.
Mm-hmm.
But Neville was kind of unprofessional in this situation. I understand that there are a lot of people clamoring for more and more wrestlers to leave WWE so that they can see the greener pastures of the independent scene. A independent scene that's right now currently on fire. And it's 4 or 5 alarm stage at this point. There's a numerous amount of promotions right now that are either barely surviving or have completely sunk to the point of no return. Looking at you, Evolve.
Yeah, Evolve actually had a pretty good show from all accounts last night. Chris was there, so. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, here's the thing. I don't blame Neville for getting out. Mm-hmm. I don't blame him for being unprofessional. Sure, just the way he left unprofessional. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But if I had worked my ass off to be a good champion for the cruiserweights only to lose it to Enzo, mm-hmm. I'd be gone. Fucking hell, I'd be gone in a heartbeat. I don't blame him one bit in this situation. Mm-hmm. I think he did what he needed to do. He'll probably end up going to New Japan. Mm-hmm. That would be my guess. He'll go to New Japan, be a star over there. He's heavier than Zack Sabre Jr., so they'll probably put him in the heavyweight division.
Mm-hmm. So a giant cruise missile might be joining up with New Japan. I honestly think also in this situation that they may be working with New Japan in this case, WWE is, where Neville as a guy, here's the thing. Neville had about a year and a half off because of an ACL injury. They let him heal up. He came back. He did this heel gimmick thing. It was time. It was also honestly his time to leave the territory. He'd been working in WWE since what, about 2013?
I believe so, yeah.
He was one of the early guys down in NXT. It was his time. It was his time to leave in this situation. It's his time to go down over to the other territories. In this case, it would probably be either New Japan or, heaven forbid, Impact.
Oh, no one's going to Impact anymore. Impact is a dead brand.
He might.
Nah.
If Anaheim offers him up enough money and the travel schedule's light, he will probably might would go with that. New Japan is also an option, but at the same time, he's going to have to work a heavier ring style, and he's going to have to be working with the junior heavyweights first, potentially.
No, I think they'd probably move him up to heavyweight. And he has worked he used to work Dragon Gate before, so he's used to the heavier style. I mean, Dragon Gate is pretty much is Lucha Strong style, so.
And he could also go back to Dragon Gate. But then again, there's also one other problem there. Dragon Gate doesn't have an American affiliate anymore.
I don't think it would bug him. I really don't. I mean, Neville is a very talented wrestler, and I hope nothing but the best for him. He's a guy who can make it big on the indies. I mean,
of course
I think he will too. I mean, heaven forbid, if Cody Rhodes, Mr. 2.5 star, who gets pissy every time someone uses something his dad came up with, even though WWE bought the damn IP out, then I'm pretty sure Neville, who's a million times better than him, he can make it. He'll be just fine.
In addition, there might also be some negotiations between WWE and New Japan where they're just letting Neville out of his contract so they can sign Ricochet.
Oh yeah, no, Ricochet is definitely going to WWE. I'll get to it later in the review, but yeah, he's pretty much gone there already. Why, I don't know, because he's going to be utterly wasted in that death hole known as a cruiserweight division. But you know what, Ricochet, have fun.
Honestly, for his health's sake, I feel like it's a better decision right now when he's still young to go to WWE instead of having to deal with the rigorous New Japan junior heavyweight spot fest flippy style, especially given that the junior heavyweight division is a bit barren at this point, given that they're focusing mostly on their natural talent like Hiromu Takahashi and Kurisha.
Well, yeah. Well, not anymore, really. Well, they're still focusing on Hiromu, but there's been a new champion crowned, which I'll get to in a minute.
And then there's the other story. Jimmy Jacobs, why in the world did you think taking a selfie with a guy with folks that are dealing with a cease and desist lawsuit as well as several contracted New Japan talent was a good idea?
Yeah, well, he did that in the original Invasion. Now, why he did that, and look, for all the crap I'll give the Bucks, and I will justly give them the crap, they are not the best tag team in the world. Get over them. Seriously. I swear to God, I know I hear a million people in the club or the Bullet Club all coming after me. I hear you. I hear you all. Your sounds of rage and terror give me life. But here's the thing. I feel like WWE was really, really petty in this situation to fire Jacobs over this. I mean, something to keep in mind, he's friends with a lot of these people. Yes, it was not the most professional ththing to do. I get that. You can't handle this in-house. You have to make an example of him and fire him because you guys got embarrassed by the Bullet Club, by the Bucks. Look, I think what the Bucks did was stupid and annoying. Won't defend them. What I will say, though, is there's no need to fire a guy over that. Just handle it in-house and say, hey, look, we don't want you doing that again. Got it?
I think they had warned him in the past, though, and Jacobs didn't take the warnings.
Well, then this company is run by a petty, insecure man, which, hey, we didn't know that already, did we?
Sure, but at the same time, the other people around him might not have been particularly happy about this situation either. And honestly, Jacobs had made himself an expendable pariah in the company. There was apparently a lot of backstage issues with Jacobs at that point, given the fact that he was on the Raw creative team at the time. I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to move him over to SmackDown to relieve Brian Ward's workload, because Brian Ward at this point is spent. But Jacobs had other ideas because he wanted to stay on the Raw brand. The problem is that Jacobs is a guy that has only been with the company for maybe about half of a year at this point. What did he do to make the company angry with him in less than half a year? I know this company's petty, Sal, But at the same time, Jimmy could have handled this situation a heck of a lot better by remembering the key tenets. If you work for a company and they're currently dealing with a cease and desist lawsuit with individuals who have repeatedly stuck the middle finger at them, don't take selfie photos with them.
Well, no, he took the selfie with them before they sent the C&D.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. That's my big thing here. If he took the selfie with them after the C&D, yeah, sure. Okay, fine. That's one thing. He took the selfie with them in the build-up to what became the issue for the C&D. He took the selfie with them during the invasion.
Weird. Oh, here's the weird thing, though. Why didn't Jacobs tell the company that they were planning this, though?
Because everyone knew they were planning this. They released stuff. People knew beforehand. He took the selfie with them when they were on their way to the arena. They knew. Everyone knew. I highly doubt no one in WWE knew.
But still, it was a surprise to them that they did this because they didn't think that they have the guts to do it, and they did.
Oh, yeah, that's because Vince McMahon thinks he's an all-conquering badass when really he's a sad, pathetic, insecure little man who should have retired long ago and whose death, which I don't wish upon him, but nonetheless, when he goes, this company will be much better for it.
We can also apply the same logic to the Bucks as well. They're very insecure individuals from California who know that their shelf life is very quickly reaching its expiration date. These guys are both in their 20s, and they've had a humongous amount of bumps on them at this point. It wouldn't surprise me at this point if one of them retires within the next couple of years, when they inevitably shatter one of their knees over a super kick. And then you have the rest of the Bullet Club. Cody, please go to therapy. We have Brandy, who's encouraging his behavior. Stop that. Marty Scurll, ladies and gentlemen. He's a part of this as well. And Kenny Omega, the Mad Painter. Am I forgetting anybody else from the Bullet Club? It's so hard to keep track. I mean, poor Tonga's still stuck in this faction, as well as the Guerrillas of Destiny.
Yeah, the Guerrillas of Destiny, which also includes Leo Tonga, Bad Luck Filet, and I think Hangman Page is a part of this.
Oh, yes, Hangman Page, the guy that they used for this whole angle where they, did the whole WWE's imprisoned me and forced me to watch the Mae Young Classic. Yes, Page, you're going to be mauled by a bunch of angry lady wrestlers now. Good luck.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm not saying they're necessarily good guys in this. I'm just saying this company is terrible. And I get, look, I hate a lot of the Bucks shtick, but I, on some levels, respect them for being able to make money without WWE, because that's a good thing. I want wrestlers to be able to make money and succeed without this company known as WWE, considering all the talent they waste.
Sure, at the same time, but the problem is that are they doing anything to help improve wrestling is my question, because what they seem to be doing at this point is they're doing all of this for themselves.
Of course they are, just like WWE is doing everything they can for the brand. I mean, look, the Bucks are making money for themselves, of course. You know who else made money for themselves? One of the best wrestlers ever, Stan Hansen, who I respect the hell out of. My favorite all-time wrestler. Would I love it if they did stuff to make wrestling better for everyone? Sure. But I'm not going to hold it against them if WWE is doing the same damn thing. I can't.
Sure, but at the same time, we have the situation right now where we have the California Indies are at a civil war at this point. Evolve is on life support. GFW, TNA, Impact, whatever it is this week, is continuously on fire. Ring of Honor has a bunch of 40-year-olds on their roster. Beyond and CZW are in questionable states at this point. We have a lot of allegations being flown around about domestic violence in professional wrestling, especially on the independent scene, and Florida still hasn't cleaned up its act, given the fact that half a dozen wrestlers are either on criminal charges or on a registered sex offenders list. That's what I'm referring to at this point. None of these individuals are taking the necessary steps at this point to go, we need to really clean up our act right now because we are losing people rapidly because they don't have the disposable income anymore to support professional wrestling on the local independent level. And because we live in the internet age right now, there's no more of this, this is just going to be a shoot video. It's going to be on VHS. No, but hardly anybody's going to see it. Well, we live in the internet age where people post GIFs on Twitter and tell stories and do rumors and all this other kind of stuff. And Nobody is trying to improve anything right now. They all just want to keep everything the same. They all want to keep it, they want to keep the money flowing when we realize we may be heading for yet another recession in the world of independent wrestling. And it's because everybody is putting all of their eggs into these super indie cards, but when the bottom falls out, half a dozen of these promotions are going to be completely unprepared for the financial realities and responsibilities that they needed to take the initiative on, but failed to do so because they see this. They are thrilled by the rush, that high that they so crave. They crave the attention. They crave the spotlight. And yet they don't want to do the responsible things and the things that need to be done and the hard choices that need to be made within the next several years in order to sustain this industry, to make the territories a reality once again. There are some that are doing that, and I credit them if they are. But at the same time, I am a very big positive pessimist about this situation. I see both WWE and the Indies going through some hard times within the next few years because nobody wants to be the responsible one and actually take the steps needed to contain or control or take care of this mess that is about to happen.
I think, well, here's the thing. I think the Indies are actually looking pretty good. Yes, there are numerous issues. Evolve's issues have been well documented at this point. I don't know what happens to them, although according from everything I've read, their shows are still selling out. They're going. I feel in the end, Evolve will be fine. They'll be smaller, but they will be fine. TNA, GFW, they've been a non-issue for years now. They haven't mattered since Matt and Jeff left last year, and that is my honest opinion. Look, they hardly exist anymore. Ring of Honor, in spite of all their 40-year-olds, and I agree that is an issue, they're still doing some of the best business they've ever done because Cody Rhodes is somehow inexplicably a draw. As much as I hate Cody Rhodes' shtick, he is a draw, and I will give him that. The Bucks are drawing for them. I mean, like I said, as much as I hate the Bullet Club stuff and all that, they're drawing. Ring of Honor is doing some of the best business they've done in years. CMLL is a big thing right now, you know. Nova Pro, Duke's Indie, that's doing very well. I think the independents have some. Do they have their issues? Of course. But they are still doing some good stuff. They are getting some sellouts. They are, you know, doing stuff. I think the Indies will be fine. My honest concern is more with WWE because they're barely profitable. And the only reason they are profitable is off their TV deal. They're the ones I'm far more concerned with.
But we'll see where things go from here because both of us are concerned, obviously, about this whole situation.
Yep. But in the meantime, we have one last show to cover.
And that would be Kings of Pro Wrestling, wouldn't it?
Yep. The New Japan show that was this past Monday because Sunday in Japan was a national holiday. I forget which one. I think it was, I think it was like National Sports Day or something like that. I'd have to double check, but yes, it was a national holiday in Japan, and we had, I believe it was 7 or 8 matches on this card. Let me check really quick.
Yeah, because the last thing they wanted to do was cross the sumo wrestlers and the soccer players on National Sports Day.
Yes, and there was 9 matches on this card. And it was a very solid card, a very enjoyable card. The last 4 matches were excellent. The IWGP Junior Tag Title match was excellent. The Tag Team Title match was fine. You know, the worst matches on this card were just decent. So we start with the opening match, which was Bushi, Sonata, and Hiromu Takahashi against Bad Luck Fale, Leo Tonga, and Yujiro Takahashi. So, LIJ against the Bullet Club. And it was a quick match, perfect for an opener. It was barely 7 minutes. And the finish got some mixed response. I personally loved it. It was Hiromu Takahashi. Fale had Bushi up in position for the Bad Luck's fall. And Hiromu distracted Fale with Daryl. And then he distracted the ref. And Bushi hit Fale with the mist and got the pin. Perfect little opener. 2-star match. Fun for what it was. I know some people are worried this makes Hiromu into more of a comedy character, which if they do go that route, I will be concerned. But for now, I'm fine with it. I really enjoyed it. So, and Daryl, I'm kidding you not, is more over than the WWE champion right now.
Of course he is, because he's Daryl and he got revived by evil.
Yes. After that, we had Toru Yano and Hiroki Goto against Zack Sabre Jr. and Minoru Suzuki. This was another pretty quick match, barely 10 minutes. And the match started with Suzuki beating the crap out of Yano and went to Zack Sabre Jr. beating the crap out of Yano. Then Goto and Zack Sabre Jr. went back and forth for a bit before going back to Suzuki and Yano. They did some outside stuff. Suzuki tied up Yano with rope, but Yano low blowed Suzuki on the outside, and Suzuki got counted out. Yano then took the belt, posed with it, did his whole Yano to ruin the shrug thing, and then that set up. This is set up a match at Power Struggle for the Never Openweight Championship between Yano and Suzuki, and it will be a bull rope death match.
Okay, bull rope death match.
Yeah, it's pretty much a strap match.
Okay, this won't end well for Yano.
Yep, either that or the Sublime Master Thief takes another win and gets the belt. I enjoy this feud in a way, but at the same time, I feel like the joke needs to happen by now. Like the punchline to the joke where either Yano gets the win or Yano gets beaten into so many bloody pulps I can't keep track of. One of those two things need to happen, and it needs to happen soon. And it will, so it'll be what it'll be. After this match was an awesome junior tag match. I gave this 4 stars. I gave the previous match 2.25. It was fine. This match was between Taguchi Japan of Taguchi and Ricochet, the Funky Future part of it, against Sho and Yo, who you may know as Fuijin and Raijin from CMLL.
They're back from their excursion, ladies and gentlemen, and they have pants. Golden pants and silver pants.
Yes, the whole gimmick is pretty much being a Japanese idol group. Idol duo. Which, for those who don't know anything about Japan, their thing for idol, it's pretty much like boy bands and pop groups. So, there you go. And Sho, I believe, was Raijin and Yo was Fuijin. And Taguchi Japan came out, asked them to join, but they just drop kicked them and did a double tope con hero. And it was freaking awesome. They did a little bit of back and forth, and then Taguchi Japan got back into it, and they did these, like, their whole gimmick is pretty much like a sports team. So Taguchi and Ricochet did these, like, baseball-style hand signals to signal that Taguchi wanted Ricochet to throw, I believe it was Sho into Taguchi's butt, but Sho countered it, threw Ricochet into Taguchi's butt, which I never thought I would have to type this. And then Taguchi thought it was Sho, so he started like doing like the thing, but Yo took Taguchi to the Ricochet to the outside, and then Taguchi realized it, and Sho just drop kicked Taguchi's ass. Again, not a thing I thought I would have to type. And then Sho and Yo worked over Taguchi's butt for a while. Pro wrestling, everybody.
Wacky pro wrestling in Japan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. And I have in my notes here, seriously not a sentence I ever thought I'd be writing. But Taguchi got out of it and tagged Ricochet in. He came in hot and took on Sho and Yo before tagging Taguchi in again. And then Taguchi worked them over a bit. And then they started working Taguchi over. And then after a while, Ricochet got back in and hit the Benadryller 2-point, but only got the 2. Sho and Yo made the comeback, and they hit what I believe is their finisher, what it's called, which I believe they're calling the Superstar, or they might have just been calling them Superstars. Hard to tell. For the 3 count in the belts, and after the match, Ricochet said it was his fault they lost, and based on all the way he acted, it's looking like he's going to WWE.
We'll see where it goes from here. Things can always break down. Physicals could be failed, but Ricochet may be going to WWE at this point. As also, I think Sho and Yo is called Roppongi 3GK, I think.
They're called Roppongi 3K now, which it comes from the fact that Rocky Romero brought him in and he was part of Roppongi Vice with Beretta.
Mm-hmm.
And according to him, he said there were 3,000 times the tag team me and Beretta ever wear, which, okay.
Kind of a subtle burial of both him and
Yeah,
Beretta to an
I
extent.
know. That's the thing I was thinking of. Like, wow, way to bury yourself and Beretta there. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder how Trent feels about all this.
He's probably busy eating his hat, so,
Yeah. Well,
doing
no,
the.
he was busy losing in his match later, but we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
This was an awesome match. I had this at 4 stars, and if this is Ricochet's last match in New Japan at least for the time being, then it was a hell of a match to go out on.
Mm-hmm.
So after this was the IWGP Tag Team Title Tornado Rules Elimination match. Say that 3 times fast.
Mm-hmm.
Between Killer Elite Squad of Archer and Davey Boy Smith, War Machine of Hanson and Rowe, and the Gorillas of Destiny of Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga.
Mm-hmm.
And, this match was fine.
Mm-hmm.
They did their best to get us into it, despite the fact that it was like their 4th match in like a month.
Mm-hmm.
And credit to them, I actually enjoyed this match a fair bit. They used a lot of weapons, a lot of kendo sticks, but it was definitely a step down from the previous match. The Gorillas were eliminated at about 13 minutes in, and after this, KES fought off Hanson and Rowe, and they put him through a table, and they got the win.
Okay, cool. So this tornado match was a good serviceable match.
Yep, it was fine. After this, we had Yoshihashi, Beretta, and Jado versus Kenny Omega, Cody, and Marty Scurll.
Well, I assume that one team got murdered and the other one got the win.
It was a fine little match. It really wasn't much. This was definitely my worst match of the card. Which, go figure, it had Cody Rhodes, Marty Scurll, and Kenny Omega in it. It was so annoying. And I swear to God, Marty Scurll's music with the whoop whoop in the beginning that is playing in my own personal hell.
Where's Jimmy Havoc to murder this guy when you need him?
Gone, sadly. But yeah, sadly they won. And it was Scurll getting the pin getting the submission on Jado. So definitely the worst match on the card. I had this at like a star. I had about 2 stars. Although I enjoyed the opener more. After that, we had Hiroshi Tanahashi and Togi Makabe against Kota Ibushi and Juice Robinson. This was a fun tag match. Juice Robinson is still so over in Japan, and I freaking love it. He is like the best pure babyface they have.
So it was Team Youth and Skill versus Team Grumpy.
Well, actually, no. It was Team Youth and Skill against Team Garo Shura. You won't understand that reference, and for those who don't, I'll explain. Hiroshi Tanahashi and Togi Makabe actually starred in what was a New Japan crossover with one of my favorite tokusatsu series, Garo. And it was in a thing called Garo Ashura. Hiroshi Tanahashi was actually Garo, and Togi Makabe was the main villain.
As always, as he is.
Yep, it was actually a pretty good little thing, too. I really enjoyed it. But that's besides the point. This was a fun match, and it was pretty much just to set up the fact that Kota is challenging Tanahashi for his IC title at Power Struggle in November, which, hey, for what it was fun. Juice actually got the win after pinning Makabe, and and yeah, it was what it was. It was fun. After that, we had a hell of a match. Oh, and I gave that match 3.5 stars. Really fun match. After that, we had the junior heavyweight title between Kushida and Will Ospreay. We got a new champion. Young Will is your new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, and it was fun as hell. Ospreay came out in Spider-Man gear. Kushida came out as Marty McFly. By the way, I never thought wrestling would ever give us Spider-Man versus Marty McFly, but there you go.
Yeah, wrestling is possible.
Yep. Kushida and Ospreay did a bunch of fighting. There was a bit of brawling outside to the barricade. Bit of a drop kick, if I can learn how to speak. A lot of back and forth, a lot of chops in this match. There was an awesome Spanish fly for the double down. Just a bunch of stuff, and Ospreay got the win after hitting the Os Cutter, and he finally got the win after going 0-4 to Kushida before this match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was straight up like a classic All Japan with, I think it was Misawa or Kobashi against Hansen, with how they would always lose to Hansen but they'd get better after each match, and eventually they got the win.
Mm-hmm. Oh, fortunately for Ospreay, I believe his first challenger is a certain umbrella-wielding madman.
Yes, after the match, well, first I'll have to say I gave this match 4.5 stars. Just an absolute hell of a match. Go watch it if you can. I've heard some people say they like their Best of the Super Juniors match better from earlier this year. I haven't seen that match, so I can't comment, but I will say I thoroughly enjoyed this match. But yes, Hiromu Takahashi was about to come out to challenge Ospreay. Then Skrull came out and like grabbed Hiromu's fingers and challenged Ospreay instead, which I'm fine with because I'm pretty sure the story is going into it. Naito and Hiromu and pretty much all of LIJ are either going to retain their belts or win belts at the Dome show and walk out as champs, because this Power Struggle in November is the last big show before the Tokyo show in January,
where we have to deal with Wrestle Kingdom in Tokyo Dome.
Yep, Wrestle Kingdom 12, and it's going to be a hoot. I am looking forward to that. But yeah, so Hiromu is on the back burner for now, but I'm pretty sure their end game here is for him to win the junior title at the Dome, as Naito wins the heavyweight title at the Dome. And the other three will either retain the Never Openweight Trios titles, or they'll do something else. Wouldn't be surprised if they have Evil win a singles belt like the Never Openweight singles belt, and have Bushi and Sonata win like the tag titles or something. I have no idea what they're going to do, but I'm looking forward to it. After this was my match of the night, Naito against Ishii.
Yes, I saw clips of this match.
Holy hell, did this match kick some fucking ass. I mean, Naito, first off, I gave this 4 3/4, just shy of the 5-star mark, but if someone went 5 stars on it, I wouldn't complain. Naito did this little stall and went to beat Tranquilo, and he just came back and kicked him. Because obviously these two are so good together. Ishii was doing the chops into him. Naito spits on him. Just a really brutal back and forth match. Naito went for a DDT. Ishii escapes it, hit a suplex for the double down. Ishii, did a bunch of drop kicks. Naito did a bunch of drop kicks to the knee. They worked over each other's knees. Ishii did a top rope brainbuster for the 2 count. That was a hell of a kick out. Naito went for a dragon suplex and got it, and Ishii just rolled over all pissed, like, oh, I'm going to fucking murder you.
Yep.
That was a hell of a spot. One of the best spots of the match. Naito eventually got the win with the Destino. Yep. And it was just a great, great match. 4 3/4 match of the night. Naito is looking great. And we'll see in the next match, but the story going into this match and the next match was that Naito and Okada each beat their rivals' respective number 2. Ishii has always been Okada's like second best, his second in command, like the second in command of Chaos, tough guy who kicks ass. And Evil was Naito's first partner in Lost in Governmental State Japan.
Yep.
So, going into it, it was kind of cool to see that. And now that they've taken out their number 2s, they're ready to face the big boss in 3 months. So,
at Wrestle Kingdom 12 in Tokyo Dome, we have Okada versus Naito for the championship.
Yep. But first, we had Okada against Evil, and Evil was led to the ring on a throne pulled by druids.
Hey, look, Undertaker's druids found work.
Yep. I wonder if Taker's minion was one of them.
Probably. Well, his back. He's been having some back issues, so probably wasn't able to carry a giant, throne with Evil on it.
Yeah. Yeah, Okada came out in this really cool, like, black and red robe. It looks freaking sweet.
So basically, Okada became an anime boss battle, and then Evil was basically the guy who had to face against them.
Yep. And this match was solid. I had this at 4 stars, a really good match. My biggest complaint was with it was that it was 33 minutes, and you could have cut 10 minutes off, which is a standard complaint for most New Japan main events of mine. I really don't see any need for a match to go more than 25 minutes. Maybe I'm just an overstimulated millennial, as people like to say, but I really cannot see any need for any match to go over 25 minutes. What more do you need?
I'll have to see this match for myself, but I think that probably the long epic actually worked in this case, with Evil and Okada trying to prove who is the top dog right now, and Evil unfortunately lost.
Yeah, he lost. I mean, one thing I will say of this match and every Okada match is that the finishing sequence is always insane. Evil went for the evil. Yes, I did not misspeak. Evil went for the evil. That's his finisher. It's an STO.
Evil STO is what it's called.
Yeah. Okada got out of that, went for the Rainmaker. Evil ducked, or no, excuse me. Okada went for the Rainmaker. Evil ducked that, went for the Evil STO. Okada ducked that, hit the Tombstone, and then hit the Rainmaker for the win. Really awesome finishing sequence, 4-star match. After the match, they called out Naito. Gato called out Naito. Naito came out. They had a little back and forth. From the little bit of Japanese I do know and remember and that I could pick up, I heard Naito saying, like, they were talking about the dome, but Naito was like, but that's 3 months away for now. And they started talking. Naito eventually left. Okada stood on the briefcase and before kicking out of the ring. And yeah, that was the show. Really fun show. The next main show is the Super Junior Tag Tournament, but the final main show before the Dome is Power Struggle, and we have 4 matches that we know will happen at that show. It will be the finals of the Super Junior Tag Tournament. Who it will be, we don't know yet. Minoru Suzuki against Toru Yano in the Bull Rope Death Match for the Never Openweight Championship. Will Ospreay against Marty Scurll for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. And Hiroshi Tanahashi against Kota Ibushi for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Also on that show will be the debut of Switchblade, who I believe it is going to be Jay White. Whatever they call him, I don't know.
Switchblade, Jay White's debuting again?
Yeah, in New Japan. He was in Ring of Honor on a learning excursion.
Okay. Okay, so Switchblade's going to be Jay White and not Sami Callihan?
No, I don't think so.
We'll have to see when it actually happens, but it will be interesting.
Yep. And that was Kings of Pro Wrestling. A very fun show. The back half of the show was incredibly enjoyable. Naito Ishii had a hell of a match, and in many years it would be a match of the year contender. It might even go down in my top 15, 25 of my all-time of matches of the year. I have no idea. But yeah, no, really fun match, really fun show. Go watch it if you have the world. If you don't have the world, sign up for a month and watch this show and all of the G1 just for the hell of it.
That was New Japan Kings of Pro Wrestling. Sal had a really great experience, didn't you?
Yes, I did. It was far more enjoyable than anything well, no, except for the tag match and that Hell in a Cell show. I will be completely fair, like I said at the top of the show. That tag match I had on par with most of the matches here. I gave that tag match like at least 4.25, probably 4.5. So there you go. I liked a WWE tag match more than I liked an Okada main event.
As they say, folks, miracles do happen, and WWE actually managed to achieve something in that regard. Sal loved Kings of Pro Wrestling, and I enjoyed Hell in a Cell. And this was honestly a really good show overall. This has been our 30th broadcast of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. Thank you so much for tuning in on this edition of the show. It has been such a great experience to revive this show again after a 3-year dormancy. And this would be my 67th podcast overall since November of 2015. And I believe it would be around close to my 79th podcast overall since 2013.
Ooh.
So, yeah, getting pretty close to 100 there, folks, regardless of whether I keep track of it from the 2013 statistics or the 2015 statistics, which I've been keeping track of since then. And again, this show has made its 30 episodes. It's a really, really great experience, and I thank you all so much for tuning in on this edition of the show. And thanks so much once again. We have our co-host, Sal Cusmano.
See you guys. Thank you for joining us. We'll probably be back, next Friday?
Yep, next Friday. If things work out, which they probably will, depending on, we'll let you know on the Twitter pages. You can follow me at Fizzpatrick14 for updates on the show.
And you can follow me at Cusmano_Sal. I'll probably give an update here or there too. Or if you just want to follow me for some wrestling banter in general, doom and gloom, I'm there.
This was definitely a tale of two shows today. Tings of Pro Wrestling was a great show that Sal enjoyed, and of course, Hell in a Shell surprised me. So next week, I don't know really what we're going to be talking about, apart from the stuff that's been going on Raw in preparation for TLC.
Yep. We need to. We'll probably preview TLC, and we'll probably see the Shields reuniting. So.
Yep, Shield reunited, and they destroyed things last week, but we'll get to that next week as they attempt to try and destroy The Miz and The Bar, as well as, unfortunately, look at the poor, unfortunate sacrifice of Emma. So, sacrifices in the ready. Get ready for this next week. Have a safe day, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you live in the Northeast today, because there's a lot of storms and clouds and a lot of wind in my general neck of the woods. And we'll see you next time. See ya.
See you guys.